everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. My name is Jeffy, and this is Engineering Talks, where we engage in discussions, brainstorming sessions, and interviews with industry specialists, leaders, engineers, and managers. And most importantly, we encourage asking questions. As Thomas Burgess said, the art and science of asking questions is the source of all knowledge. Today, we have a special guest on our show. This individual admires her father and has built upon his legacy. She is the founder of a software firm specializing in engineering and design. While engineers already improve everyone's life, her passion lies in making engineers' lives better by developing a software that reduces the design time. She believes in actively seeking out and assisting others to lead better lives, making her a strong leader. She's the co-founder and CEO of P-mech Technology, as well as the Executive Director of P-mech Consultancy. Please join me in welcoming Miss Lekha Nirmal. Hi. Welcome to the show. It's a pleasure
Hi,
to
thank
have
you
you
so
today.
much.
So that's all from me. Now, without further ado, I invite you to share something that was not said in the introduction or something that the audience doesn't get from your LinkedIn profile. We would like to know more about you.
I'm very happy to be here. Firstly, thank you so much for having me on Engineering Talks. There are a lot of things that, of course, I do not share on my LinkedIn, and I think that this episode will unfold going forward. But
Yeah.
also, I have had very humble beginnings. I think what you have said about me are the big parts, but I've had a very humble beginning because although I am a second generation, I have seen the way my family and my father started the organization, and I have been brought up with that similar kind of value system. So yeah,
That's
let's
nice.
talk more, and we
Yeah,
will
sure,
unfold.
sure. That's going to be quite inspiring. So, the first question is something related to that. Why did you choose to lead your father's legacy and not to do something different or go into the corporate world? Was it influenced by your father?
I cannot say that it was influenced by my father, but I made this decision when I was as young as 6 years old. I was in my first grade. I would very often go to office, and I don't exactly remember how it happened, but I've been told by my friends and family, and even some of our first employees who are by God's grace even today with us. I would tell everybody that looking at my father's seat, pointing at my father's seat, that this is what I'm going to do in my future, and this is where I'm going to be. Of course, I did not know at the time what engineering was, what it was that oil and gas and chemicals and power plant even meant, right? But going
Yeah.
forward through my education, even in my eighth grade, when I had to choose some subjects in my 10th and my 12th, I have always chosen my education and academics to be in line with what we do at PMech.
Okay, I got it. That's something really inspiring. So, let's talk about PMech Group. Tell us
Yeah.
more about PMech Group, how it is built, and what makes it different than others. Tell me the leader's way of leading the PMech Group.
Pmech Group, it's okay if I take like 2 minutes to sort of go back to history on how Pmech was started
Yeah,
and
sure. We would love to know. That's what we want to know.
okay, so Pmech was started by my father when he was 25, 26 years old. This was a very young age for somebody to, go out in the world and decide that I want to do something by myself in an age where there was no internet or, mobile phones and all that. Coincidentally, it was the same year when my parents also got married. So my mother being a big support system for my father, the way it started was dad would do job in the day, like he would go to work for 10 hours a day, and then he would come home and he would do 10 hours of design as Pmech.
Okay.
So for a very long time, almost up till 8 years after marriage, my parents had 20-hour work day. And when dad would go to the other office in initial times, not that he was working for those 8 years, but initially for 6 to 8 months when he was doing two jobs, my mother would, be at home. And although she's not an engineer, she's a lawyer by academic, she would sort of learn what is to be done and make the design and drawings for him. And by the time he would come home, he had to check everything and he had to submit. So that is the very beginning. The way he would get clients is he would leave the house in the morning, maybe with 10 rupees in his pocket, not knowing at the end of the day whether my parents are even going to have a meal at night. So that is how they started. started, and he would leave the house, he would take a bus, he would go across the city of Bombay, and we used to have those big hoardings and that right engineering and contractors, and he would
Yes,
find
yes.
those kind of shops, be it workshops, be it whatever, go in and ask, do you have any engineering requirement that I can support with? Of course, we did not have an office, so sometimes he would sit at their office itself and make the design and give it. Sometimes he would bring it home and take support of mom, or stay up all night and do the design. Slowly, the way it started building is when he would go to these kind of workshop or offices, he would request the receptionist, he would make a rapport with the receptionist and ask her. Those days we used to have yellow pages because there was no internet, or there was no phone like the way we have now, seamless communication. They used to have yellow pages. Yellow pages used to be this fat book, all yellow in color. That's why it was called yellow
Okay,
pages, which had all the names of companies with what they do and their short address.
okay,
So he would borrow that yellow pages from that receptionist for 1 day, 2 days, mark everything that he needs, jot it down, give it back, and then go and look for more companies because he did not even have money to buy yellow pages. So that is how, the very start of Pmech was. Then we moved on to a 400 square feet office where we had our first 4 employees, who I'm very happy to share are still even today with us. Then we moved on into a slightly larger office, 20 people, 40 people, then 100 people. Now we are about 250 people, engineers and designers, that are working as part of PMech Group.
okay. That was a beautiful story of, I don't know what to say, but everything, hard work, mutual support, and
Yeah,
growing from scratch. That was
absolutely.
really inspiring. And I'm so glad to know that you still have the employees right from the beginning, which means
Yeah.
that you are maintaining a very good atmosphere. I guess the work culture is
When
so good.
people say that it's a family business, I really come much later in the family. These guys are more family than I have ever been to BMEC.
I get it. I get it.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next question. Were you the topper of your class? You have scored an amazing 9.3 out of 10. So do you think that the CGPA matters at this stage compared to what you have achieved?
Well, I want to answer this in maybe two different ways.
Okay.
One is that, firstly, facts, I was not the topper. We had 5 to 7 people in my class who would always take the first 5 to 7 rank. Somebody first, somebody second, it would keep shuffling,
Yeah.
but there were like 5 to 7 of us who were always in that circle. Secondly, I think that when I joined PMech, so I did a few internships while I was studying engineering, but after I graduated, I immediately joined PMech. I did not go outside anywhere else to get any kind of 1 or 2 years of work experience, because I thought that I had seen enough when I was in internships, and also I was a very strong believer that the kind of platform and the kind of exposure that I will get at PMech, I might not get outside, and I did not want to waste any years on exploring all that and sort of getting lost. So I was very clear that I wanted to come and join PMech only. So when I joined, I think this whole grades and what is your score and all that might have influenced the first impression of some of our colleagues today, or some of my employees then, or some of the clients who also see your CVs. Maybe it does help there. Personally, to me, I think the way it has helped me is that it has sort of given me confidence that
Yeah.
the line that I'm choosing is probably the right thing for me to do. I
Yeah.
completely don't agree or disagree that grades are only important or grades are only not important, but I think this is how it has helped me.
Okay, so you just mentioned that you immediately joined right after your college. So let me ask you something on that line. Given that you are the executive director of your father's consultancy, how do you address the concerns of nepotism? So we know that this gets into the buzzword charts on and off. So did you work on the shop floor like every other freshman and then climb the ladder after proving yourself, or how did it go?
Absolutely. I don't think there was a second way. My father was a very strict trainer when I joined. Of course, when I joined as a process engineer. I joined as a GET, that is graduate engineering training. That's
Yes.
how any fresher joins our organization. So that's the first slab, or the first level of entry to our organization, Pmech. So I joined as a GET, and I worked as a GET only for about 3 years. So I would do a 9 to 5 in my process department, because I'm a chemical engineer. Of course, I would do chemical design. So that's the process department. My reporting was also to my process HOD. It was not to my father or anybody else. So I would even report to him. I did this for about 1 year of only process. So more than 9 to 5, actually 9 to almost 8 or something. After that, slowly I started venturing into other aspects of business, so to say. So that would be your HR, interviews, project management, operations, client interaction, business development, sales. There are so many other aspects. But again, these things would start for me after that 5 or 6 p.m. of process
Oh,
design. So I would do a 9 to 5 or a 9 to 6 at process in the process department with the process team reporting to my process HOD, and then move on from there to sort of from maybe 6 in the evening to 11 in the night, all these other aspects of business. So that is how my beginnings were. And even after that, the reason I said that my father was a very strict teacher is because even after this 11, I would reach home at 12 and I would meet my parents, and dad would ask me, hey, did you see this person? Maybe some American client would have just sent an email. Did you see this person has emailed some new inquiry or something, whatever of the project? And I'm like, no, I just got home. I've not seen it. And he's like, your customer is awake over there and you want to sleep. So even after that whole
yeah,
14, 16
I
hours
get
of
it.
work day, I would come home to this. So I feel like my initial 3 to 5 years were extremely tough in terms of training. And today, but looking back, I think I'm glad that that is how it was, because when I see other people my age, I feel, especially in our industry only, I'm only talking about the oil and gas and the engineering space, I feel like
Yes.
that kind of exposure is really helping me today.
I get it. So looks like you are exactly following your father's steps, working both day and night, and that's how you work, how you build great things, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Let me ask you something. What is the exposure that a GET who joins your company gets in the first few years? I guess this would help the new graduate who wants to join your company. So could you please explain how does a typical day looks like?
So we have a, like I said, that I was no different, right? I also joined as a GT and I have come where I am. And I feel like that is something that Pmech has in its culture. It's not because I was my father's daughter. Honestly, Pmech's culture is to give a lot of training. We provide a lot of training to our GTs, and not just academic training, but a lot of on-job training. So say a graduate engineer trainee joins us, it is possible that within 2 days or 2 weeks, the person might be put on a real job. Okay,
Okay.
so we give a lot of on-job training. We believe that only when you experience is when you learn the best. So
Exactly.
that is one, and this is across all departments of Pmech, not just process. This is process, mechanical, electrical, instrumentation, civil, structure, project, piping, operations, everywhere, business development, everywhere. We believe into on-job training a lot. So that's one. Secondly, in terms of exposure, very early on in their careers, we give exposure to client interactions. We don't allow a junior engineer to sit in a client meeting. Usually, that's how the way it goes, that only seniors go for client meetings, but that's not how
Exactly.
PMEC way of doing things are. At a very young age, even with 6 months of experience, if that person is assisting a lead engineer, the person will very happily also go for these meetings.
Yes.
That's not only I'm talking about Teams meetings, I'm talking even about international meetings and everywhere. So that's second part. Thirdly, we do expect, because we are giving so much training, even software training at a very young age, we do expect that the person also contributes. So our interview process is quite strong. Once a person comes in for interview, you can expect at least 6 to 7 hours he will spend or she will spend at our office before the final interview happens. So we have a 6-step process. The reason we do this is because we want people who are also delivery driven, who have a closing ability, who really want to work hard, and who really want to also learn and contribute. See,
Yeah.
only learning is one thing, but if you're not putting it on paper, that is not going to a client. There's no point
Exactly.
of what you have learned. So that is how very, very holistic sort of interview process we have, and that is the way we also train our GTs.
Okay. So that sounds like some rigorous training with proper guidance and mentorship.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's great to know. So, coming to the next question, where do Indians stand in the global market for design software? Can it be a potential dark horse for the upcoming generation of chemical engineers?
I don't think any software can ever be a dark horse, to be very honest. Indians' contribution to the global market is very significant and it is growing. As you know, that some of the world's largest organizations have Indians on their boards and as their CEOs running their organizations as their management. So Indians do have a lot of capability and capacity when it comes to the global market and the software industry especially. That being said, I feel like a lot of MNCs who are also setting up their R&D centers, they are setting up in India now.
Okay.
Again, the reason for that is the capabilities that Indians have showcased through these years and are still continuing to showcase. I do agree that a lot of Indians do get attracted by a lot of international companies to go and work at their international offices. Maybe a reason for that could be because India is still developing and it's
Yeah.
getting there, whereas they are already maybe in terms of their infrastructure there. So that could be a reason for attraction. But then there are still a lot of Indians who are contributing to the India's growing economy, who are contributing to the India's growing global market. There are huge companies like TCS, Infosys, Wipro, who are all Indian companies making global products.
Okay. So in India, we have only a few design companies that have the capacity to undertake large budget projects or have a global impact. So while some of them have already achieved success, we still remain a comparatively smaller player. I don't say smaller player, but comparatively smaller player in the global market. As you are aware, we have been primarily focusing on consulting firms and smaller design companies. What could be the reason behind this? The lack of a fast-paced growth in the design sector in India.
I feel that what you say is true, but things are changing now.
Okay.
Okay, one biggest reflection of that could be that today India has 110 unicorns, right?
Yes, I agree.
So I think that things are changing now. People in India are also realizing the potential that India can have for them to grow. Okay, I feel that, and that's purely the way I see things or understand things. And in my opinion, that it could be that people feel that their potential could be better utilized when they are in an environment which is more developed than India is. But now I feel that people are also realizing that exponential growth can happen in a country like India, which is developing, because the needs of the people are still not served.
Okay,
So I feel
I
like
agree.
things are now changing and people are contributing more and more to the growth of India and
Uh,
making
so
global products.
okay, so I guess we are in a path of progress and it's accelerating day by day.
I am very much pure Indian at heart. Okay.
Okay.
So many people always told me you go abroad, you study and come back and 10 things. I have nothing against it, but for somehow I could not leave and I might never leave. I have traveled across the world. In the last 1 year only, if I say, I have traveled to 25 different cities across the world. Okay. And
Oh,
that's the
that's
25
amazing.
different cities in 1 year is approximately two in a month, right? And this includes even Indian cities. This includes Gulf, Middle East, Europe, America twice. So it's not like just in the vicinity. I've gone all across. But at the end of the
Yeah.
day, if I have to come home, I want to come back here.
It's a beautiful feeling, right? Coming back home. I
Yeah.
get. So, moving to the next question. According to the data published by MHRD, we have that the average percentage of female undergraduate students, to be precise, in engineering, it's just 30%. And if we include computer science and consider only the core branches, the female enrollment comes down to approximately 15 to 20%. So, what could be the possible reasons for this disparity? And what percentage of females were in there in your class, and how has it changed now? What is the percentage of female workforce in Pmech group as well?
So, to begin with, the reason for why this could be, I think one of it could be for branches like mechanical or civil. Even today, our homes, when we are younger women, are probably seeing that as associating that to having more of masculine attributes, maybe a lot of site work or maybe a lot of heavy industry sort of work. So, I think that could be a reason for why women are not opting to take, not that women are not, a lot of women are not
Yeah,
opting to take those branches. Secondly, in terms of, like you said, if you remove IT, it's even lesser. IT industry, software industry today has gained so much popularity. It has gained so much funding and fame that it automatically sort of attracts men and women. I'm not just saying women, men and women
exactly.
to choose that as a career option. And also a lot of advances. Now, when you talk about oil and gas, for a common man, oil and gas is a 500-year-old industry. It's very conventional in nature. But when you talk about IT, they feel like, oh, machine learning's coming, AI is coming, so many new virtual realities coming up, so many new things are coming that they might think that that is a more progressive and a more tomorrow's future sort of a line to take. So that could, I feel, be one reason. The way to change this, I think, could be if today the women that are there in engineering, in construction, in energy space, I feel like if you identify these kind of women and you appreciate them, you acknowledge them, you recognize them, then they could act as role models for the younger generation.
Exactly.
And that could bring up more and more younger women to take up these kind
True.
of job roles. And about, of course, third, you spoke about Pmech. Pmech, until I don't know, since I have joined and even before, has had at least 40% of our workforce as women.
Oh,
There
that's an
are there are
interesting number.
years where we have 50% of our workforce as women. There are years when we have 40%, but on an average, we have always had 40 to 45% women employees, because we strongly believe that women don't just balance homes, they also balance the work environment. So it's
Yeah.
very important, and we have a lot of women force working with us. And in certain roles, I am seeing that women are actually waiting much longer hours than even men for a delivery. But of course, our entire staff is great. So
That's so great to know. So I totally get it because even when I was about to choose chemical engineering, I heard all these stuff. Chemical is for boys. It's similar to mechanical.
yeah,
I don't know how you are going to manage the labs and other stuff, but trust me, there hasn't been a single day when I have thanked myself and my parents and all those who supported me in taking chemical engineering. Every day I feel so proud to say that I'm a chemical engineer and the diverse role that chemical engineers play in, I
yeah,
mean, all
absolutely.
sectors. We are really thankful to have some mentors like you, some great women figures coming up in the engineering sector. So
Yeah,
even
yeah.
I took
I also wish to recognize and promote more and more such women.
exactly. So these days, whenever my juniors ask me for some kind of advice or suggestion regarding taking up chemical engineering, my only reply is that just go for it. If you
Yeah,
are interested in the field, just go for it. There is nothing like boys, girls. It's just your talent
exactly.
and your interest.
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
Now coming to some questions regarding your work and life. So
Yes.
what is best, working in the office or working in the field with clients?
For me,
Yeah,
I feel both are very important. Working in office, I am extremely productive. So I have to be, I'm not a work from home person, not a very work from home person. I love working from office because one, I feel like a lot of things happen very quickly when you're at office because that atmosphere is set,
exactly.
people are right next to you and all that. Secondly, in terms of visiting customers, again, that is something I do a lot. Like I told you that I had 25 trips in the last 1 year. So I keep very closely in touch with our customers, ongoing or potential. The reason for that is when you speak to your customer, you understand what their needs are. When you understand what their needs are, you can devise a better way to serve them. If you don't talk to
Exactly.
them, if they are in isolation, you are working in isolation, you will only go maybe A to B.
Yeah.
But to actually give them that extra delight or to really give them a solution, not just engineering, which is also one of our spiritual foundations, I feel that it's very important for us to understand what their needs are.
I get it. I get it.
So both I think are equally important. And then if not for me, for other people, of course, it depends role to role. An engineer is more required to work from office because they need focus, dedication, and all that. A business development person might be required more at customer's place.
Okay. So looks like a strategic mix of working from office and visiting the clients in the field.
Yes.
Yeah, that's nice.
I
So,
work from client offices also.
oh, that's nice. That's nice. Depending on the situation, it's just
Yeah,
managing your situation in the best possible manner. Uh,
absolutely.
from your LinkedIn profile, I get that you are an angel investor. So, as an angel investor, what key qualities do you look for in startups and entrepreneurs before deciding to invest?
Well, I have invested in a couple of startups,
Okay.
not a lot of startups, but this was before 2021, rather 2020, because 2020 is when we started a new company, also Pmech Technologies, which is,
Yeah.
it develops software products for engineering, like PMT Tank is one of our softwares. So before that, I would also invest in other startups. In that time, I think the only couple of things that most matter to me is one, the founder. What
Okay.
really drives that person? What is their vision? What is their team looking like, the core team? Do they have a shared vision? I think that is the first and most important point for me. And the second point is the product or the service that they're building. How much is it in line with my purpose? In the sense that how I want to help more and more people.
I get it.
Is that service or that product also making this world a better place in some way?
Exactly.
So these are the only two things that I have seen in the startups that I've invested in.
Okay. So, being someone with a rich background in chemical engineering and business, as we know that you are an alumni of IIM Bengaluru, how do you balance technical innovation with business strategy in Pmech Group?
Okay, firstly, when it comes to innovation, our innovation, I'm a very strong believer that you should stick to your core. So even if somebody comes up or if I come up with an idea, some other colleague comes up with an idea, that innovative idea or that innovation needs to be in line or complementary with what we are already doing.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into a completely new field that has absolutely no relation to what we are doing because we already have such a strong foundation.
Yeah.
So I don't focus my energies there. So that is the first and the most important. Secondly, that innovation should help my customer in some way. It should maybe save time, it could save cost, it could save some problem, I don't know, that he's facing. Maybe it could save some steps in his process of doing things. Something. It should help my client in some way. Thirdly, the innovation cannot happen in isolation. Like I said, we already have a strong foundation. So the technical, the R&D center, even the operations and even the client, they all need to be in a very together in a very collaborative way, contribute into actually developing something. And that's exactly how we have developed the software also.
Exactly, I get it. So looks like you have a proper strategy to manage business and technology as well. Sounds good.
I never had the strategy. It has been developing,
Okay.
and it's still developing.
Yeah,
I don't think it's okay. This strategy works for everybody. Do this. It never works.
that's how it evolves, right? A strategy
Yeah.
always evolves and gets adjusted to the changing circumstances. I don't think well-performing company can ever function with a fixed strategy. You should be managing it depending
Correct.
on needs of the client and outside environment.
I feel like agility here really plays a big role.
Exactly. That's good to know.
How
So,
agile your team is defines how successful or not your company might eventually be.
okay, I get it. Can you share an experience where your leadership played a key role or it significantly impacted a project or changed the direction of your company?
I think PMT tank. So
Okay.
PMT tank was I started working on PMT tank back in 2020. Okay, when COVID hit and we all had to start working from home and we were still doing design manually. That's where it hit me that this needs to change and there is a lot of potential because everybody is facing the same issue, not just me as an engineer.
Mhm.
Every other company is facing this issue. So that's when we thought of developing a software to begin with PMT tank because one, when dad started the company, he started with tanks because his background is mechanical.
Okay.
So when it comes to tank engineering, Pmech already has a lot of credibility in the market. We have developed more than 5,000 tanks for customers across the globe of all kinds. Cone roof, dome roof, floating roof, double wall tank, 620, 650, EN code, AWWA, NFPA, everything we have designed.
Yeah.
Right. So we decided that okay, there is no great software in the world that caters to tank design and drawing. So that's how the first software we developed was PMT tank. Honestly speaking, it took me about 8 to 9 months for me to get my first employee. From starting working on the idea to getting the first employee. And it's not like I was not interviewing people. But at that time, I don't have an IT background. I didn't even know what I was interviewing.
Okay.
Right. So I had to get some external help and all that. So I think PMT Tank was one such product that was started under my leadership and is developing not just under my leadership. Now we have a good team. They are contributing. They're doing a great job and I'm very happy to have them.
Okay, so now this sounds exciting. We would like to know more about that journey. So, what challenges have you faced while scaling up this PMT tank and how did you overcome them?
I'm still overcoming. Okay, so to start with, like I said, that even getting my first employee was a challenge for me because tech is not my background. And then I actually went ahead and I had to learn some part of coding. And then we ended up not using that language at all. So, all these things you only learn in the process. In terms of scaling up, I feel like PMT Tank is a software that has automated manual and traditional methods. So, what I mean by that is that people who are very used to doing designs in a certain way are now forced to change their habit of how they are doing things. And that is becoming a big big challenge for me. That has been for the last 2.5 years since we have launched the product, and even today, because this is a global product and it's the first Asian product to ever help engineers do tank design. So because it's the first Asian product, even in Asia, we are seeing that habit change is a big challenge globally. So our first customer for the software is oil tanking. Our second customer is American Tanks and Vessels. So maybe we have got easier conversion. I would not say easy, but comparatively easier conversion when it comes to American clients, because maybe they are used to using a lot of technology based work. So that even today I think remains a challenge for me.
Okay. So it looks like you have played diverse roles in the company right from the beginning, and you are still having challenges and you're overcoming them. So, with all these diverse roles, how do you prioritize your commitments and maintain a work life balance?
Where prioritizing my commitments is, I would not lie, it is difficult. I mean, I do have those moments which are rare, not often, but that, I have missed so much, I've sacrificed so much, I've missed some wedding or some event or, whatever for work. But I really don't think I would divide this into work and life. The reason for that is I believe work is a very big part of your life itself, right? Because in a day you have 24 hours, you're spending 8 to 9 hours, which is more than one third at work. You're sleeping one third of your time, and the other one third time that you have left is literally time that you do everything else.
I
Hello?
get it.
Yeah. So I feel like work itself is such a big part of your life that you cannot segregate the two.
Okay.
But the way to balance is, I believe, if you really enjoy what you're doing, anything that you might be doing, I think it automatically is a balance in your head. So you
Okay.
stop seeing these things as two different things. And that is how I am. That is how I really enjoy what I do. And I don't think I could have done anything else.
So inspiring. I can literally sense that passion from your words, and I have been feeling that ever since the beginning of the interview. So recently, I saw an YouTube video wherein they were saying only when you feel something like work or when you want to do something and you are doing something else, that's when your brain gets stressed. But as long as you like what you are doing, you can do it for continuous stretches and your brain is not going to get stressed. It all depends on your thinking.
Correct. Absolutely.
Yeah, so that's so nice to hear from you. Coming to our next question, what advice would you give to women aspiring for leadership roles in technology and engineering field?
I have lots of things to tell.
Yeah, shoot it. We are all ears.
Okay, I will keep it short. Maybe as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not necessary that this is the only thing that works, but it is what has worked for me. I think one and the most important is that your foundation in terms of your technical capabilities and expertise should be very strong, because only that gives you as an individual confidence to ace at the field that you have chosen, especially when it is a technical field like engineering or
Okay.
development or that. So technical expertise, one, I think is very important. Two, along with technical expertise, your soft skills, how people perceive you and how you are able to communicate, I think is again something that's very important. This would also include your level of EQ, that is emotional quotient. Okay, so I think that is again something that's very important, and women are naturally born with it. Okay, we are
Yeah.
very lucky individuals that we are born with EQ. So I think that is second. Third is, I believe that one must speak up. It could be at work, it could be at home, it could be in a conference, it could be at a networking event, it could be in a relationship. I think it's very important to speak up. And even today, it saddens me that a lot of women don't. Maybe it's in the upbringing, maybe it's in the society, maybe it's in the
True.
community. I don't
We are
know
brought
where
up
they.
in such a manner.
Yeah. So I feel like it's very important to speak up. Fourth, very important, that has worked wonderfully for me is to find mentors. And I would say I have weekly calls or sometimes monthly calls with my teachers from engineering days. I have monthly calls set up with my professors and mentors from IIM Bangalore, my B school. And I have meetings, physical and online, with a lot of industry experts who are also my mentors. So I feel like having mentors is very important for many reasons.
Yeah.
So find the right mentors for you, who really push you, who really guide you, and not like a coach, okay? Like a
I
proper
get it.
mentor is what I'm saying. Not that I have anything against coaches, but yeah, that. And lastly, I think women aspiring to be leaders need to do is believe in themselves.
Yeah.
believe in you is also something that's very important. We might have days where we are taken aback, or we might have days where we might not feel our best. That's okay. Cry it out, sleep it off, but wake up and believe in yourself the next day. So, yeah, I think these are the most important qualities.
So I feel like the last one is the hardest one because of our upbringing and the way our society has been conditioned since long time.
Yeah.
So I think mentors like you who are playing key roles and coming up in the technology field, I think can inspire other women to believe in themselves and
Yeah.
also provide mentorship.
I feel like men also in this part play a very big role. I mean, I have an elder sister also. She's a cancer surgeon. I feel like both of us daughters have been brought up with such independence and
Yeah.
with such a strong affinity to speaking up, at the same time believing in ourselves, at the same time being able to make our own decisions. You know, our
Exactly.
parents have always trusted us to make our own decisions, even if it is right or wrong, they are with us. I think that as parents, as mother, father, if somebody has a brother, I think it also for them plays a very important role, that their support to these women who think otherwise or feel otherwise would really shape up the women of tomorrow.
Okay. So to sum up, you mentioned 5 points. That would be firstly focusing on your technical know-how. So I guess
Yes.
you will have to start right from your engineering days that get technically strong. And the second one would be developing your soft skills. And third
Yes.
one would be speaking up. And even that, I guess you can start right from school or at least during your graduation days. Network with
Absolutely.
people, speak up in the class, participate in activities. And fourth one would be having a mentor, and fifth one would be believing in oneself.
Yes.
That was a
And
great
having
piece
a
of
mentor
advice.
might not come naturally to you, because it's not just that you choose a mentor, the mentor also chooses you, right? So you have to be a good student for a mentor to choose you as well.
I get it.
That is also equally important.
Yeah, so choosing the right mentor plays a key role. So, having said that, we would like to wish all our viewers a happy Women's Day.
Yes.
And
Happy Women's Day to
yeah,
everybody
it's
hearing
it's
us, watching
it's
us.
true. It's indeed a proud moment for me to share screen with such a stalwart and wish Women's Day together. So, do you have something to tell our viewers with respect to Women's Day, or just a small message from your part?
I just want to say, every woman out there, wishing you a very, very, very happy Women's Day. I don't believe that only 8th of March is Women's Day. I think every day is Women's Day. So
So,
enjoy and ace it. That's all.
okay, yeah. So with that, we conclude our episode. I hope you have enjoyed this session,
I
and
have
I
thoroughly enjoyed it. Thank you so much for talking to me.
okay. I cannot just mention it in words. Lot of wisdom packed in such a short time, and this is something the young generation really wanted to hear. Not just women, but both men and women. Something she was talking from her own experience, and we are really grateful to have you. So,
Thank you so much.
okay, there is so much ahead of all of us to conquer and more to leave behind. And this is how we build, we grow, we learn, and we conquer. I wish you a promising future and all the very best for the success of Pmech Group. And if you are waiting for the moment to change your life, start now. And that's what I would like to tell the viewers. And just one more message from my part. Although we wouldn't be together all along, but I hope there will be milestones and lighthouses along the route. And we will try to become one of them. And that's what we all can do as humans. So today we had a lighthouse who is spreading light by designing tanks and by easing the process of designing tanks among all engineers. It was great to talk to you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Effie. Thank you.
I hope you had a nice time.